So, imagine you're spending 2 years just perfectly engineering a physical product. I mean, you've dialed in every single component, you've built this massive online following, and after, months of these grueling negotiations, you finally secure that coveted shelf space at a major national retailer.
Right. The dream scenario for any brand.
Exactly. So launch day arrives, and you walk into the store, and you're practically vibrating with excitement, and, well, nothing happens. Your product is just sitting there in aisle 14, gathering dust,
Oh.
while shoppers push their carts right past it.
Yeah, it's honestly a devastating reality for so many brands right now.
It really is. And why does that happen? Because, as it turns out, securing the shelf space was never the finish line. I mean, it was barely the starting line. You essentially failed because you didn't know how to throw a good enough party.
That's a great way to put it. We live in an era where, you know, direct-to-consumer online success creates this false sense of security, but the physical retail environment is just an entirely different beast.
Right. It's so unforgiving.
It is a crucible. I mean, if your product cannot adapt to that harsh, fast-paced ecosystem of a brick-and-mortar store, it simply won't survive.
Which is exactly what we are tackling in today's deep dive. We got our hands on this really fascinating guide from Retailbound, specifically from their president and founder, Johann Jacob.
Yeah, and for some context for you listening, Retailbound is a consultancy that specializes in bridging that exact gap between product creators and major retail giants.
Right. They are basically the strategic architects. They figure out the buyer engagement, channel marketing, and, how to keep your product from just becoming a dusty museum piece on a shelf.
Exactly. Because if a product is just sitting passively on a shelf, it is effectively bleeding money.
Yeah.
In physical retail, the ultimate currency is active engagement.
Yeah.
And generating that engagement, well, it requires a deeply orchestrated strategy long before the doors ever open.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because as I was reading through these Retailbound insights, a very specific analogy kept jumping out at me, and I think it frames this entire conversation perfectly.
The party analogy.
Yes. Launching a product in a retail store is exactly like throwing a highly orchestrated, really high-stakes party. You can't just rent a room, open the front doors, and expect a line around the block.
Right. You'd just be standing in an empty room.
Exactly. You need a meticulously curated guest list, a really symbiotic relationship with the venue owner, stunning decorations, manufactured pre-party hype, and an incredibly charming host walking the floor.
I mean, that is a remarkably precise framework for understanding retail mechanics.
Yeah.
We're literally manufacturing an experience from the ground up.
And that process has to start with an invisible foundation, right?
Yeah, if we follow your analogy, before you hang a single decoration, you have to know exactly who is on that guest list.
Right, the target audience. And here's my thing. If you are listening to this and you've run a direct-to-consumer brand, you're probably used to owning all your customer data.
Oh, totally. You have everything.
Right. You have your Shopify dashboard, your digital heat maps, your pixel tracking. You just know everything.
Yeah.
But the second you step into a physical retailer, you surrender a massive amount of that control. So how do you actually do market research for a physical aisle? I mean, it can't just be looking at basic demographics like age and income, right?
No, absolutely not. Basic demographics are just table stakes at this point.
Ah.
What Retailbound emphasizes is the need to understand really specific, localized shopping behaviors.
Okay, so going beyond just who they are.
Exactly. When you lose that direct digital dashboard, you have to replace it with behavioral intelligence. Where does your specific customer physically go? What influences their snap decisions when they are completely overwhelmed by choice in a massive superstore?
Because there's just so much noise in a big box store.
There is. You have
Yeah.
to map out their physical journey. Like, are they the type of shopper who meticulously researches online and then speed walks to a specific aisle just to pick the item up? Or are they, a weekend browser who wanders and discovers things on an end cap?
So you are basically trying to design a physical interaction that intercepts their natural behavior.
Precisely. You are gathering the raw materials to answer their unspoken questions before they even ask them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, if your research shows your target audience values sustainability above all else, and they usually shop in the organic grocery section, but your product is placed in a totally different department, surrounded by non-recyclable plastics.
You've already lost them.
Exactly. You have already created behavioral friction. So the guest list dictates everything about the room you choose to occupy.
Okay, I am with you on the desk list, but I have to push back hard on the next concept the guide brings up, which is tip two.
The retailer synergy.
Yes, aligning our launch heavily with the retailer's brand identity. They use the word synergy. But honestly, isn't the retailer just my landlord? I mean, I'm paying a premium to rent their shelf space. I want my product to stand out, to disrupt the shopper's attention.
You want to pop.
Right. I don't want to just blend into the retailer's background aesthetic. If I've got a neon green product, I want to be a neon sign in a beige room, not try to color match the beige.
Well, it's a very common and honestly very dangerous misconception. Viewing the retailer merely as a landlord is a fast track to a failed launch.
Really? Why?
Because if we stick to your party metaphor, if the retailer is the venue owner, you aren't just paying a flat fee to rent the space, you are promising them a massive cut of the bar tab.
Oh, wow. Okay, that changes the dynamic completely.
Entirely. Retailers are partners, and they are heavily invested in your velocity, meaning how fast your product moves. If you try to fight their ecosystem, you will lose.
So the beige room matters.
It does. First, there are cold, hard logistics. Retailers operate on strict planograms. These are basically architectural blueprints for their shelves.
Right, they map out every inch.
Yeah, so if you design this massive, disruptive, neon green end cap display that violates the retailer's aisle clearance rules, or it clashes horribly with their seasonal aesthetic guidelines, that display is not going on the floor.
Where does it go?
It's going straight into the loading dock dumpster.
Because it ruins the experience for the rest of the store.
Exactly. But beyond logistics, when retailers feel actively included in your layout and branding plans, they stop being landlords and start becoming internal champions for your brand.
Ah, so they actually root for you.
Yeah. Synergy means your displays and messaging elevate their overall store identity. When you do that, the retailer's buyers and floor managers will naturally advocate for better product placement.
Because you're making them look good.
Exactly. They want you to succeed because your success drives up their overall category revenue, but without cannibalizing their own aesthetic trust with the shopper.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. You have to prove you can drive the bar tab up without trashing the venue. So let's assume we have our behavioral research dialed in, and we are perfectly aligned with the retailer's planogram.
We're ready for tip 3.
Yes, we are ready to dress the set. This brings us to visual merchandising. Or, going back to the party, this is the outfit your product wears. It is the very first entirely silent impression shoppers get.
And we really have to recognize just how fast that impression happens. In a modern retail environment, you have perhaps 3 seconds, it's often called the 3-foot rule, to arrest a shopper's attention as they walk down an aisle.
3 seconds. That is nothing.
It's a blink.
Yeah.
So the Retailbound source points specifically to the mechanics of visual merchandising here. This isn't just about making something look subjectively pretty.
Right, it's not just art.
No, it is a highly strategic, psychological deployment of colors, structural design, and materials.
Because the packaging basically has to do all the heavy lifting of a sales pitch, but without making a sound.
Right. Let's look at the psychology of it. The display and the packaging must forge an instant haptic and emotional connection.
Give me an example of that.
Well, if you are selling a rugged outdoor survival tool, your packaging shouldn't have a glossy, delicate finish that reflects the harsh fluorescent store lights.
Oh, that makes sense. It would feel cheap.
Exactly. It should utilize like a matte, heavy stock cardboard with earthy tones. That subconsciously communicates durability and grit before the customer even reads a single word of copy.
It's a visual shorthand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Every single structural element, whether it is a striking end cap display that physically breaks up the visual monotony of the aisle or just the tactile weight of the box itself, it all has to instantly communicate the brand's core values.
And it has to pop while still playing by the retailer's rules.
Exactly. It has to stand out from the competitor directly to its left while still staying completely true to the behavioral preferences we researched earlier.
So you're basically removing the friction of confusion. The shopper looks at the box and their brain immediately says, oh, I know exactly what this is, who it's for, and what it costs.
Yes. The silent salesman has to close the initial interest gap instantly.
Which brings us to a glaring logistical problem. I mean, we can design the most psychologically compelling, perfectly synergistic end cap display in the world. The box can be a total masterpiece. But that is completely useless if no one actually walks down aisle 12 to look at it.
Yeah, a beautiful display in an empty aisle doesn't sell.
Right. If we just set it up and wait passively for foot traffic, we're dead in the water. We have to manufacture that traffic.
And this is where so many legacy brands fail today. They just assume the store will do the marketing for them.
Right. And looking at tip 4 in this guide, I initially assumed the biggest physical hurdles were all inside the building. But what Johann Jacob argues here is that the physical in-store launch is actually won or lost completely in the digital realm, like weeks before the product ever hits the shelf.
It feels counterintuitive, right?
It does, but it's brilliant. Here's where it gets really interesting. Using the internet to drive physical, real-world foot traffic.
It is the reality of the modern omnichannel pipeline. What's fascinating here is exactly how we engineer that digital to physical bridge. I mean, it is one thing to run an Instagram ad and get a like.
Yeah, like is easy.
Right. But it is a completely different, highly complex psychological challenge to convince a human being to put down their phone, get in their car, navigate traffic, walk into a specific store, and actively hunt for your product.
That is a massive ask. So how do we actually do that? The guide talks about leveraging social media and influencers, but I imagine it's not just about paying a mega celebrity with 10 million followers to hold up your box on TikTok.
No, absolutely not, because modern consumers have developed deep banner blindness to that kind of transactional celebrity endorsement.
They just scroll right past it.
Exactly. The mechanics are much more precise now. Brands deploy geo-targeted digital campaigns. They partner with micro-influencers whose audiences index heavily in the specific zip codes where the product is launching.
Oh, wow. Wait, really? So you are hyper-localizing the digital hype?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You find an influencer who genuinely aligns with your brand values, and you have them document the real-world hunt.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they post authentic behind-the-scenes content of themselves actually going to the specific retailer, walking down the aisle, and interacting with the product.
That is so smart. It's like proof of life for the product.
Yes. That authentic, localized digital storytelling serves as a physical call to action. It creates this digital treasure hunt that physically moves their local followers from the couch into the brick-and-mortar store.
You are literally sending highly targeted digital invitations to the physical party. Okay, so we've used digital hype and geo-targeting to get them through the automatic sliding doors.
They're in the building.
They're in the building. They have navigated the aisles. They see the beautiful packaging. Now, how do we convert them from someone casually observing our silent salesman into someone waiting in line at the register?
This brings us to tips 5 and 6.
Right. The Retailbound guide points to 2 specific strategies here: giving them an experience and giving them a deal they cannot refuse.
And this is the critical pivot from passive observation to active, tactile engagement. The industry term for this is experiential retail.
Right, which means live demos, product samples, exclusive pop-up experiences. But wait, let me just pause you there. Logistically, how does that even work? I mean, I can't just walk into a major retailer with a fold-out card table, plug in a blender, and start handing out smoothies in the middle of the aisle.
No, you would be escorted out very quickly.
Right. Don't retailers charge massive fees for that kind of floor space?
They absolutely do. Those are called slotting fees or marketing co-op fees, and they honestly must be fiercely negotiated into your initial launch budget.
So it's pay to play.
Essentially, yes. You don't just sneak a card table in. You collaborate with the retailer's experiential marketing team to designate a high traffic zone. And the reason brands pay exorbitant fat for this footprint is because of a very powerful psychological mechanism called the endowment effect.
The endowment effect. Okay, what is that?
It is a cognitive bias in behavioral psychology. Studies consistently show that the moment a consumer physically touches an object, holds it in their hands, or tries it out, their brain subconsciously begins to feel a sense of ownership over it.
Wait, just from touching it?
Yes. And once they feel they own it, parting with it, like putting it back on the shelf, actually feels like a loss.
That is wild. It's like when you test drive a car and suddenly you can't imagine going back to your old one.
That is exactly the same psychological principle. So by simply getting them to interact with a live demo, you are hijacking their brain's loss aversion.
That is almost sneaky.
It's effective. You bypass their logical price objections by creating an immediate tactile bond. Face-to-face storytelling during a pop-up doesn't just inform the customer, it fundamentally alters their psychological relationship with the product right there on the spot.
And right alongside that experiential magic, Tip 6 introduces the party favors exclusive promotions or launch discounts.
The incentives.
Right, we're talking bundle deals, limited time price drops, things that manufacture an immediate sense of urgency. Like, I love how this blender feels, and if I buy it right now while I'm standing here, I save 20%, but if I walk away, I lose the deal.
Exactly. And if we connect these two mechanics to the bigger financial picture, they are the engine that drives your relationship with the venue owner, the retailer. Remember the bar tab.
Right, the inventory velocity. We have to show them we can sell.
Yes. Experiential events and targeted early access promotions are not just about rewarding the shopper. They are strategically designed to artificially spike your inventory turn during those critical first 30 to 60 days.
So you're basically gaming the system to look good on paper?
Well, retailers measure success through metrics like GMROI, gross margin return on investment. They want to see that your product flies off the shelf so fast that it justifies the space it occupies.
So if you prove you can move massive volume early, the retailer stops treating you like a risky new tenant and starts treating you like an anchor tenant.
Precisely. If you do that, they will reorder faster, they'll give you better permanent placement, and they'll even prioritize your brand in their own weekly circulars. It completely solidifies that initial synergy we talked about.
It all connects beautifully. Okay, but we have to talk about tip 7, the final hurdle. Because this is where the anxiety really kicks in for me.
The wild card.
Seriously. You could execute everything we just discussed flawlessly. I mean, you have incredible behavioral research. You are in total harmony with the retailer's planogram. Your packaging is a psychological masterpiece. Your geo-targeted influencers drove massive foot traffic. Your pop-up demo triggered the endowment effect. And you have an aggressive discount.
You did everything right.
Everything. And there is still one final, incredibly fragile thing that can completely implode the entire launch at the very last second.
The human element.
Yes. Deliver exceptional customer service. The Achilles heel of any highly orchestrated in-store launch is a poorly trained, totally apathetic retail employee.
It is the ultimate bottleneck. The Retailbound source is glaringly clear on this warning. I mean, the absolute best visual merchandising and the steepest discounts in the world cannot repair the damage of a negative human interaction.
Just ruins the vibe.
Completely. Imagine doing all that complex omnichannel work to get a customer to the aisle, and they have one simple, clarifying question about the product's warranty. And the floor employee just shrugs and says, I don't know, I just work here.
The balloon just pops. I mean, the hype vanishes, the endowment effect breaks, and they walk away.
It instantly degrades the immense trust you've spent months building. When a floor worker cannot confidently answer a question, human nature dictates that the shopper will just default to the safer legacy competitor sitting right next to you on the shelf.
But hold on, this brings up another massive logistical nightmare. If I am launching a brand inside a giant big box retailer, those thousands of blue shirt or red shirt employees do not work for me.
No, they work for the retailer.
Right. So I can't just invite them all to a corporate retreat to learn about my blender. How on earth do I thoroughly train a massive workforce that I don't even employ?
That is the true art of channel marketing. You have to be incredibly proactive and creative. Brands will actually deploy dedicated field marketing representatives.
Like teams going store to store.
Yes, teams whose sole job is to travel from store to store, bringing coffee and donuts to the break room, and conducting these rapid, engaging, 5-minute training sessions with the floor staff before the store opens.
Wow, literally boots on the ground. That is intense.
Yes, it takes work. Additionally, smart brands utilize gamified mobile training apps specifically built for retail workers. They offer incentives like free merchandise or digital gift cards if the employees watch a quick video on the product's key selling points and pass a quiz.
Oh, that's clever. Bribing them, essentially.
It's incentivizing them.
Yeah.
Furthermore, you practice what's called product seeding. You give your product to the key department managers for free.
So they actually use it in their own homes.
Exactly. Because when an employee genuinely loves and understands your product, they transition from apathetic restockers into authentic, enthusiastic advocates.
And shoppers can tell the difference.
Absolutely. When a shopper asks for a recommendation, that employee will naturally walk them right past the competitor and hand them your box, simply because you invested the time to train and value them.
So what does this all mean? It means that those positive, point-of-sale human interactions are the ultimate secret ingredient.
They seal the deal.
Yeah, that genuine human connection is what validates the customer's vulnerable decision to try something new. It's basically the gracious host making sure you have a spectacular time at the party right before they hand you your coat and thank you for coming.
Exactly.
It turns a curious, one-off purchase into a fiercely loyal, long-term customer relationship.
Because without that final human touch, the entire beautifully orchestrated brand experience can feel completely hollow and transactional.
Okay, let's take a step back and look at the whole picture here. We've covered a massive amount of ground today. If you are listening to this and you are in the trenches planning a retail strategy, the overarching takeaway from Johann Jacob and Retailbound is that launching a physical product is so much more than just renting shelf space and dropping off a pallet of boxes.
It is a deeply interconnected psychological campaign.
It is. It demands meticulous strategy, it demands behavioral intelligence, and it demands intense, humble collaboration.
You really can't go it alone.
Right. You have to understand your customer's physical journey, align seamlessly with your retailer's venue rules, architect the digital hype to drive physical traffic, master the silent psychology of your packaging, and orchestrate stellar on-the-floor human advocacy. It's an incredibly complex machine with a lot of moving parts.
It is. And I think my core synthesis from this deep dive is a reminder about the required scope of your vision as a founder. Knowledge and passion for your product alone are dangerously insufficient.
You need the ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah. You might have engineered the greatest physical invention of the decade, but to truly scale it and achieve long-term survival in brick and mortar, you must intimately understand the complete ecosystem of the retail environment. You have to manage the physical space, the corporate partnership, the digital pathways, and those fragile human interactions with the exact same rigor that you manage the product's engineering.
You have to orchestrate the entire party. You can't just bake the cake and hope people show up to eat it.
Perfectly said.
But before we officially wrap up, I want to leave you, our listener, with a slightly uncomfortable, maybe even provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Well, as we just explored in intense detail, this entire successful strategy, particularly the experiential pop-ups and the crucial customer service, relies almost entirely on the human element.
The human touch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We are banking on live demos, perfectly trained floor staff, and face-to-face trust building. But consider the rapid rise of fully automated cashierless retail environments right now. Places like Amazon Go, where computer vision and sensors track you, and human employees are being entirely, systematically removed from the floor. You just walk in, grab a physical item, and walk out.
It is a technological shift that completely disrupts the traditional model of building trust at the point of sale.
Right. So if the near future of physical retail features zero human staff on the floor to intercept the shopper, how will new brands ever deliver that exceptional customer service Johann Jacob warns us is so vital?
It's a huge problem.
How do you host an experiential pop-up when nobody actually works at the venue? Will your physical packaging itself have to evolve, integrating augmented reality or AI to become the interactive host for the shopper?
The box becomes the host.
Exactly. If there is no human host walking the floor who is actually throwing the party, it's a fascinating, honestly slightly terrifying question for you to ponder the next time you walk down a seamlessly automated, dead silent retail aisle. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.